You probably don't think about the logo on your fridge or the hum of the washing machine in the next room. But one company has quietly slipped into more homes than Apple, Samsung, or Sony ever could. No flashy ads, no celebrity launches, just discipline and a hammer. This is the story of how a forgotten refrigerator plant in the 1980s China became a global empire. How Haier redefined what made in China means. And it all started when a manager smashed 76 refrigerators to pieces. 1985, Qingdao. The factory floor smelled of rust and oil. Machines coughed more than they worked. Out of every 10 refrigerators rolling off the line, 2 simply didn't. When a customer stormed in with a broken fridge, the young factory director Zhang Ruimin didn't make excuses. He lined up all 76 defective units in the yard. The workers watched, confused. Then Zhang picked up a sledgehammer. With every swing, clang, metal bent, sparks leapt. When it was over, the ground was littered with twisted doors and compressor guts. He said, "We will never sell something we wouldn't buy ourselves." That was the birth of Haier's soul. Quality or nothing. Most companies start with a dream. Haier started with destruction. At that time, China's factories were still recovering from years of chaos. The idea of quality control sounded foreign, almost extravagant. But Zhang believed that to build a future, you first had to build trust. By the late 80s, Haier wasn't just fixing fridges, it was rewriting manuals. Accountability became a religion. Each refrigerator carried not just a serial number, but a signature, a quiet promise that someone cared. As the world marched into the 1990s, Japan had Sony, Korea had Samsung, China, still the land of cheap copies. Haier wanted to flip that script, and so began the impossible, exporting not price, but pride. Haier shipped its first refrigerators to Europe, then to the Middle East. Mini fridges, the kind of appliance students would shove next to their beds. Cheap, simple, everywhere. Within 3 years, Haier owned dorm rooms across the country. But Haier's real weapon wasn't price, it was philosophy. Zhang called it the Rendon Heiyi model, a fancy word meaning every worker should connect directly to the user. No hierarchy, no wasted orders. If you saw a problem, you fixed it. If you had an idea, you owned it. Imagine a company where a factory worker in Qingdao, around 2010, while Western companies were obsessed with smartphones, Haier was quietly buying failing giants. GE Appliances in the US, Fisher & Paykel in New Zealand, Candy Group in Europe. Each time, people laugh. Why would an appliance company chase dinosaurs? But Zhang saw something different. Local trust. Every time Haier bought a brand, it bought hearts. Picture this, an old couple in Kentucky still buying a GE fridge, unaware that the factory behind it now answers to Qingdao. Or a young engineer in Milan designing a new washing machine for Candy, whose blueprints end up on Haier servers in China. That's not takeover, that's integration. Haier didn't just build appliances, it built ecosystems. By the late 2010s, they were testing smart homes, where fridges talked to ovens and washing machines adjusted water cycles based on air humidity. While Western tech giants argued about data privacy, Haier quietly made hardware that actually worked together. But success has a cost. As Haier expanded, its identity blurred. Was it Chinese, global, a network of startups pretending to be one company? Zhang once said, "There will be no Haier in the future, only the ecosystem." He didn't want to build a company, he wanted to build a living organism. The system worked until it didn't. Some microenterprises inside Haier began competing with each other, chasing user scores instead of innovation. Capitalism inside communism, and it was weirdly working. Then came 2020, the year everything froze. Factories locked down, supply chains snapped. But when global giants panicked, Haier adapted. They had decentralized decision-making baked into their DNA. Teams pivoted overnight to build portable sterilizers and home air purifiers. It wasn't luck, it was design. By 2025, Haier wasn't just a company, it was infrastructure. In kitchens, hospitals, hotels, ships. The average person might never recognize the logo, but they'd see it every day. In the cool air of their fridge, the spin of their washer. It's crazy to think about, isn't it? How a company most of us barely even noticed somehow became one of the biggest tech powerhouses on the planet. Haier, a name that sounds humble, almost old school. You might recognize it from a washing machine in your grandparents' house, maybe a fridge humming quietly in a kitchen somewhere. But what if I told you that same company quietly took over the world? Haier's rise isn't like Apple's or Tesla's. It's not about flashy keynotes, billion-dollar personalities, or sleek aluminum unibodies. It's about something far subtler and far scarier. Haier didn't just sell appliances, it redefined what a company could be. From what? Let's rewind. The year is 1984. China's economy is opening up. Factories are popping up everywhere, most of them producing low-quality goods, the kind that break after a few weeks. In the middle of that chaos stood a small, struggling refrigerator factory in Qingdao. The place was falling apart. Machines rusting. Workers demotivated. Products? Well, they didn't work. Most companies chase trends. Haier creates systems. And the system Zhang invented, he called it the Rendan Hai model. Yeah, I know, sounds complicated, but here's what it really means. Every single employee, from the factory floor to the CEO's office, acts like an entrepreneur. It's like if every person at Apple was running their own mini startup inside Apple, each one judged directly by customer satisfaction. The result? Agility, speed, a culture that moves faster than competitors could even think. Haier doesn't just make products, it creates ecosystems. And while the West was busy chasing the next viral app or flashy dataset, Haier was quietly buying everything. In 2016, they bought GE Appliances. Yes, General Electric. Haier completes acquisition of GE Appliances, and hardly anyone noticed. See, that's the genius of Haier. They don't make noise, they make moves. When Apple drops a product, the world watches. When Haier drops a product, the world shrugs. Until 5 years later, when they realize it's in every store, every home, every hotel. Haier mastered something Silicon Valley never truly understood: invisibility. They didn't need to dominate your attention, they just needed to quietly live in your house. Think about it, your washing machine, your AC, your air purifier, all connected, all smart. Who's really collecting that data? Who's powering that entire network behind the scenes? Chances are, it's Haier. And here's where the story gets wild. In 2023, Haier launched its Smart Home Ecosystem 3.0, a global platform where all your home devices communicate seamlessly. The idea? Your home learns you. You wake up, lights adjust automatically. Your coffee starts brewing. Your fridge knows you're out of milk. Haier sells permanence, a stable, invisible presence. The hum in the corner of your room that never stops. You don't fall in love with it. You don't hate it either. You just need it. So here we are in 2025, standing at a strange crossroads. Tech headlines are filled with flashy gadgets and AI hype, but behind all that noise, the quiet conqueror from Qingdao keeps expanding. No billboards, no drama, just pure execution. And maybe that's the real lesson. The future won't be owned by whoever shouts the loudest, but by whoever listens the closest. Zhang Rumin once said, "There is no best, only better." It sounded humble, but it was really a declaration of war, a promise that Haier would never stop evolving. In a world obsessed with quarterly profits and viral headlines, Haier bet on patience, on trust, on invisibility, and it won. Maybe that's the future of technology. Not shiny toys and endless notifications, but calm intelligence. Machines that serve without boasting, that blend into life instead of interrupting it. Maybe that's the kind of innovation we've been too distracted to appreciate. Maybe that's the paradox. The more Haier disappears into our lives, the more it defines them. So next time you scroll past a headline about the next big thing, remember, the biggest revolutions rarely announce themselves. Sometimes they just hum quietly in the background, keeping your leftovers cold. Haier didn't win through force. It won through patience, through precision, through understanding what we wanted before we even said it. And as we rush toward a future of AI, automation, and digital everything, maybe it's worth asking ourselves, when technology becomes this invisible, who's really in control?